Alright, so for my Black History Month project this month, the noble African American I chose to write about was Condoleezza Rice. Her mother is Angelina, nicknamed Ray, her last name Rice, and her father is John Wesley Rice. Growing up, Condoleezza was born November 14th, 1954, and grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Condoleezza Rice grew up during the Civil Rights Movement and even saw people marching and standing up for their own rights in that town. Accomplishments: she was the first African American woman to provost at Stanford University, an American diplomat, political scientist, civil servant, and served as the 66th United States Secretary of State. Some interesting facts about her was she was a special assistant to President Bush, the most influential woman in global politics, had an intense effort in promoting democracy, a youth filled with educational and academic achievements, and her name Condoleezza comes from the music-related term dolcezza, which in Italian would mean with sweetness. Some important dates: 1991, Rice returned to her teaching position at Stanford. 2005, Rice accompanied Charity Sunshine Tillman Dick for a benefit concert, the Pulmonary Hypertension Associate at the Kennedy Center in Washington. In 2019, Condoleezza Rice first published her book, To Build a Better World, Choices to End the Cold War and Create a Global Commonwealth, September 10th of the year 2019. My Black History Month essay. Condoleezza Rice, also known as Condi, was born November 14th, 1954 in Birmingham, Alabama. Her name, Condoleezza, comes from the music term dolcezza, meaning in Italian, with sweetness. Condoleezza Rice was the only child born to Angela Rice, known as Nere, and John Wesley Rice, Jr. Condoleezza grew up during the Civil Rights Movement and in a neighborhood that was highly affected by it. She actually lived near a church that was bombed because of it. Condoleezza was an American diplomat and the first African American to serve the 66th United States Secretary of State. She was gracefully the first woman to serve as a national security advisor for President George Bush. Condoleezza became a professor of political science at the University of Stanford and is known for her brilliance and strong character. She has a bachelor's degree from the University of Denver, a master's in political science from the University of Notre Dame, received a PhD from the International Studies at the University of Denver, and was an assistant professor for political science at Stanford University. Condoleezza was the first female provost and youngest in the history of Stanford University. She was also a member of the United States National Security Council and first African American to hold such post for President Bush in 2000, and even helped him with foreign policy. Condoleezza Rice is an important and good influence to other African Americans and Americans all around the world, showing them they can do anything they put their minds to. Keep striving for who you want to be, and like she said, does anybody think these people were just sitting around drinking tea? Some places she visited, I starred Alabama because it was the state she was born in. I specifically put a heart because, home is where the heart is. Another state was Washington, which I put a smiley face, and it was at the Kennedy Center of Washington. That was where she went to a benefit concert for the Pulmonary Hypertension Association. And then the next thing I put a blue sun on was San Jose, California. She was an assistant professor and professor of political science at Stanford University. She was the first and youngest female to hold such post. Then I just had a timeline where 1954, the year she was born, 1987 is when she actually became an assistant professor at the University of Stanford. 2010 is when she becomes a faculty member of the Stanford Graduate School of Business and director of its Global Center for Business and Economy. I think to this day she still holds the post and is still a professor at Stanford University. And in 2019, Condoleezza Rice first published To Build a Better World, which is her book, Choices to End the Cold War and Create a Global Commonwealth, September 10th. So that is it for my Black History Month project. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to and see my presentation. Hope you have an amazing weekend.